How you going, monks? Welcome back to the channel. Going to be doing a after game showcase of the new OP Belveth build, which has a very uniform build path across all games, which is Kraken Slayer into Hullbreaker into Immortal Shieldbow, followed by Guardian Angel, and lastly you can either go Wit's End or Terminus. Okay, this build might sound very troll, and you'd probably be like, oh, what's Immortal Shieldbow for? Trust me, just give it a go and you'll understand why. Now, I picked this game to showcase because if you watch the game, you'll realize that my ADC starts trolling very hard early by leaving lane and just refusing to play the game. And my top lane, mid lane, and support are all not very good players. So a lot of times you guys all message me and ask me on my Discord, what do you deal with? What do you do when your team starts trolling? Like, how do you 1v9 the game? And I think this example, or this game, is a great example to kind of showcase how you use this build to 1v9 the game. So the important thing when you're playing this build is you have to get 6 for first grubs. And you'll see the pathing I take to do that. So here I start Raptors. I think on Belveth you have to start Raptors in my opinion. Like, it's just like the only start that allows you to clear in somewhat human time. Your main objective when you're clearing here is to clear under around 320. And you want to make sure that you hit 6 before grubs, as I said. And pretty much what you do is you do one full clear from Raptors, Krugs, Red, Wolves, Gromp, Blue. Do the Scuttle Crab and do your Raptors and Krugs. Reset, do your Wolves and Gromp. And you should get level 6 off first Scuttle. Now, once you get your form, the strength of this build is you pretty much never lose it unless you mega misplay, which in my opinion is massive, right? Because Belveth's form is very good. Obviously, when you have this build, most of your gameplay is going to be side lane orientated. You want to be taking towers, right, with Hullbreaker. And usually, what I've tended to find is that I usually end up dealing around 2k to 3k damage to towers with this Hullbreaker item. So I think it is just very, very strong. Also, you'll notice that in this game, I took press the attack runes instead of conqueror runes. Honestly, the reason for that is just because with this build, your job really isn't to 1v9 fights like you used to. And if I'm being honest, a lot of you kind of share the same sentiment from what I've heard on my Discord. If you haven't joined Discord, join it. Is that a lot of you think Belveth isn't a 1v9 carry anymore. Like, you don't 1v9 team fights like you used to. And there is some truth to that in the sense that you're just too squishy right now to 1v9 fights. Like, that is just the issue of Belveth, right? But I think with this build, with press the attack, your job is more to assassinate one target and then play the rest of a fight like that against one less target. And I think it just makes the team fights a lot more straightforward, a lot more easier. With this Kraken Hullbreaker build, by the way, just to give you a bit of a preview of what you're about to see, is you'll realize that I'm going to be super fast with just base movement speed, because you get 4% movement speed from Kraken and 4% from Hullbreaker. Here you'll see I kind of wait a bit to see where Wukong is. I knew Wukong would be top because of the way Echo walked, but I still can't go for the crab, thinking that I'm safe here. Wukong goes for a good flash on me. I thought I would be fine here, and I knew that if this guy came, I would trade 1 for 1 at worst, because I have my E right. And I also knew Pyke was coming. And you can see from here on out, like, Twitch is already starting to troll because they died 2v2 bot, right? So he doesn't want to play the game anymore. And you will see how, despite him trolling, despite Pyke not having the best game, Sejuani not having the best game, Katarina not having the best game, I still managed to 1v9 with this item build, with this new build setup I have. Okay, so here I finished my second full clear. I can't look for this gank because I'm not really 6 before grubs, right? So if I get this gank, not only do I kill the Garen and make sure I get 6 for grubs, I also you know, just eliminate any possible disruption I can have at the grubs. So I take this, kind of get the wave into a good state for my top laner. This wave will push back, right? Because it's 2 minions against a cannon wave. And then I will get 6 off the first grub, which, as I said, was going to happen. You're going to realize here that I actually didn't do the popping I said to do initially, which is I didn't circle back into my Raptors and Krugs. Reason being I just died. Wukong contests me here. I know that I'm probably going to die here, but I also think, like, if they go on me here, it's like a bad play for them, right? Because I'm going to survive for long enough for them to both die. Which should happen if I'm not mistaken. They both end up dying for going for me here, which just gives me easy access into the back into the grubs after I respawn, right? I mean, I probably could have waited to make it a better trade, but no biggie. It was a fine death, you know. We got enough off of it. Okay, so here you see I get form. Obviously, you use the form to execute the last grub to, you know, maximize the usage of the form. Here I see Talia kind of trolling. We have vision on her. She doesn't know. I circle behind. It's just a free kill, right? Like, this is the thing about this sort of Belveth into Talia animation, is you're not really too afraid of queuing into traps as long as she doesn't W in. where it's just get the kill on Garen. It's a good play by me. It's a good heads up play by me, knowing where Talia is and just adapting. Now you see here I go for the invade, but the important thing about having this build, and I guess just modern day League of Legends or modern day jungling, is that you never want to invade too much. So here, if you notice, I'm just invading before I do my full clear. So it's not really disrupting my tempo too much, you know. I'm just invading and I'm still getting a full clear off, which is kind of what you want to do. You want to always make sure with this build, by the way, that you don't overspend time ganking or doing objectives and stuff like that. You want to make sure that you're always clearing your camps and getting a level lead, because level leads are very important with this build. Gold leads also, because it allows you to get the Hullbreaker faster, which is a massive item spike that can generate you a lot of gold once you get it. Okay, here you can see on my first pack I managed to get Kraken, which is obviously a massive spike for me. It's nothing unique to this build, so there's not too much to talk about. Obviously, for all you Belveth players out there, you know that once you get Kraken and Belveth, you're a different champion, you know. You're much stronger in terms of skirmishing power, and you can just start like nuking targets. With press the attack, it's also like a lot stronger. So here I know that the Garen's going to walk up, just because in his mind he doesn't really know where I'm going to be, right? And he's kind of disrespected Sejuani on 2 waves now, which makes me think he's going to do it again. He'll watch here, he'll Q's in like that, and it's just a free kill. Even if he flashes, it doesn't matter. I just have too much range for him, right? And here you'll see me, I don't have Hullbreaker yet, but I'm already in the mindset of taking towers. Also, first tower, as you guys know, is contribute to the feats of strength, so it's just a big plus. Not to mention that plates are just worth a lot, right? So being able to get them is just a massive. And though, once I've finished making this play, my mind is still set on the next important thing, which is getting the grubs. Getting the grubs is going to be what wins us the game, and getting the grubs isn't essential for this build to work. Like, it's definitely not essential, but it does help a lot when it comes to pushing power. Though, if I am being honest, you don't really need them, because Hullbreaker kind of negates that effect. Like, you get double, you just double up on it, right? You see me play this fight here. I kind of just one-shot the Wukong. I flash E. I think this is what something Belveth players don't do enough, is they don't flash E to chase for kills. I think it's like, I think people just E on the spot instantaneously, not knowing that they're going to flash. So if you see me play, a lot of the times, I will hold my E until after they flash, so I can just flash E to follow. But that play right there, that little skirmish there that we played, generates us the access into the grubs, which is obviously massive with Belveth. Again, remember to use your passive to nuke the grubs. It's just a huge plus. Okay, so right here, my pike kind of griefs. Steps a little bit too far, but because we have Belveth and Katarina, it doesn't really matter too much because we managed to get 2 picks. Right here, you'll notice that I do start playing for objectives because I kind of want to extend my my form duration as much as possible, right? So just having more time stored is a massive plus. But before I play for any objective, I always make sure to play for the plates first, which is big. Sejuani kind of gets a weird engage here. He doesn't really engage well, but it ends up working out for me because I just spaced the enemy team out well. I kind of juked them a little bit over the wall here. I think it's more of their lack of knowledge than my good play. Just people don't really play against Belveth that much in this elo, right? So it's a good plus. So I kind of have a huge back here. If you look, I've got 3.8k gold back, which honestly in the game at this elo is not the smartest idea. But I really want to make sure that we were in good conditions to be able to play the map. So because my Twitch was kind of trolling since early game, right? I had to overstay sometimes to clear waves. So I couldn't really get a reset just to make sure that our turrets would stay up. Here you'll notice that right out of base, because I know I'm spiking a Hullbreaker and Hullbreaker's back out, I call for a contest on this Drake, which causes them to back off because they see how fed I am. I also got my Swifty boots here, which, again, if you don't know, is completely broken with this build. Or just on any build, on any champion, Swifty boots are broken right now, right? So being able to get them is massive. I think it's very good for this build especially, though, because a lot of this build, a lot of mastering this build is knowing how to rotate. And having Swifties, having the 8% movement speed bonus from Hullbreaker and Kraken, having the blue spike movement speed bonus is just a huge plus in allowing you to out-rotate your enemies and allowing you to take towers non-stop on the map. It's just allowing you to perma-rotate. You also notice here, if you look at how I use my pings, I'm calling for my team to play top tower. So, importantly with this build, a lot of the stuff you want to do is directing. You even see me typing in chat, right? It's like, a lot of the stuff you want to do with this build is directing where your team is, because they're not going to know how you want to play this game. Because this build is a bit of a unique build, right? But it is not It is a build that, if you know what to do, becomes easier. But what makes it super easy to play is when your team knows what you want to do. So just a bit of directing here will kind of make your games way easier. Okay, so here I'm kind of fishing for a pick. I see the Garen, thinking maybe I can one-shot him. Probably not, because he does have face rush. But I get close. I pretty much nuke him, or come close to nuking him. But then they end up rotating a lot of people top. But if you see here, just look at my movement speed. Just look at how broken this build is. Okay, Talia goes for... I don't know what the hell Talia is doing here, but just look at my movement speed. Look at how quickly I catch up to Talia. It's just completely strong. And the Echo goes on me here, but don't worry. I just Q him. Q again. I just have to flash. But look, he can never catch me because I'm fast as hell. I have 442 base movement speed here, by the way, guys. Or 478, sorry. 478 base movement speed. Like, this build is not balanced. And I just kill him with the E because it doesn't know my damage. That's the thing, right? With this build, with press the attack, you do have a lot of burst single target damage, right? So always don't be too afraid to play these fights. So now I get my Immortal Shieldbow, and you're going to see how unkillable you are, and how, because of how tanky I am, how reckless I'm going to play at no expenses, you know? So right here, you actually see me type in chat. The Drake is coming up, but because we already got one Drake before, right? I tell my team to not play for the Drake, and instead I want to play 2 towers top lane. This is one thing I think, this is like probably the best part about this build, is you knowing this fact. The fact that Drakes don't matter when it comes to trading tier 2s. Once you get one Drake, as long as they don't get soul, you don't care if you lose the Drake. If you can trade like a tower or 2 towers, it is much, much more worth than playing for the Drake. Also, a lot of times you'll notice if you split push on the other side of the map on top lane, when Drake is spawning, they'll have no choice but to match you, and you'll get a lot here. So you'll see here, they try to match us, but they don't send enough numbers, so they don't send the Wukong, which allows us just to get a tier 2 and the kill. Obviously here, when you're doing that, you're kind of trading the Drake, right? But the Drake hasn't even spawned yet, as you can see. So if I was to want to contest the Drake, I could still do that as well. Here you'll see I kind of go for a bad play, but it doesn't matter. Why? Because I have Immortal Shieldbow to save me, so I can kind of go for these lazy, lackadaisical plays that aren't like high percentage plays, but I'm also at no risk because I have Immortal Shieldbow as a guarantee, as insurance, you know. I herald for this tower, which I think is just whatever, because I just want to secure it, right? And I know they've got 3 people top, which means that if they have numbers on the other side of the map, heralding is always not a bad option, you know. And you can see I'll just nuke this tower real quick. Easy 500 gold for free. Right here you can see that enemy Garen overstayed on the map. And because I'm super quick on the map, he doesn't really expect me, and I just get a free kill here on the Talia. So again, remember, you have very good movement speed with this build. So always, always, always a big strength is your ability to pick people with your movement speed, with how quickly you open the map. People won't expect it because you have Swifties as well, right? And yeah, it's just huge. So I just secured this Articon pretty much off having that extra bonus movement speed to be able to catch on to the Talia. So here I already have GA in base, but because I know like enemy Garen is dead and he's really the only one that can kind of kill me, I can just overstay on the map a little bit and look for a few kills. Also, if you see here, Echo is bot lane, so I know I can just take the top turret very quickly with my Hullbreaker. I think I end up doing like 4k damage to towers at the end of this game with Hullbreaker. And I think I did like 60k to objectives. So 60k damage to objectives, you guys already know. That includes Drake and Nash, obviously, but 60k is an insane number, right? You'll see here now, since we gave the second Drake, my goal is now to not give them the third Drake. I kind of go for this like bit of a suicide play here. But again, you're very, very tanky with this build. And we kind of just got Wukong ult for nothing here, which means that they can't win the ensuing fight. Because Wukong, if you look onto enemy team, Wukong ult is the most important tool they must have in every fight to win. Because I bomb myself over and make him panic, we can't get his ult for free, and I just get this Drake for free. They do try to contest it, and you'll see what happens right here. So I use my E and Smite to secure the Drake, and then we just get the Wukong kill pretty much for free. My team does end up... we do lose a few members on the team, but you'll see here we have an overwhelmingly like victorious fight here. Twitch does end up getting out, but then dies to Talia, and since their Garen and Talia are just on the map chasing my Twitch, I'm allowed to get 2 towers here, as you can see, and an inhib. And once the game got to this point, I already knew this game was over, even though we kind of have like a few people trolling or a few people not playing too well. Right now, I'm way too scaled to lose this game. And also, if you see here, I've opened up the entire map. Like, they've lost 2 inhibs already. They had 3 winning lanes and lost 2 inhibs. So, kind of shows you the strength of this build in taking towers. Like, the strength of this build lies in the fact that people don't know how to play macro well. And even if you do play macro well, Belveth's ability to get to places so quickly allows him to bypass like all the traditional macro setup you need, which is just huge. And once we get this Nash, honestly, there's nothing more to do in this game. It's merely formality what's going to go down here. We killed the Talia. Yeah, the game is over. You'll see like throughout this game, even though I had like a inting team or whatever you'd like to call it, right? I didn't have the best team, which is an issue you guys always talk about in your games. Like you think the game is just unplayable because you have a bad team. You'll see even with like a so-and-so called bad team, I was able just to 1v9 the game, just purely off macro and purely off this build. Like you'll see how broken this build is when you play good macro. I'm 13, 2, and 10. Both my deaths were in early game. And I'm only not dying because I'm super accelerated both in gold and XP. I appreciate you all for getting to the end of the video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me below. Otherwise, I'm pretty much playing this build exclusively on stream every day at twitch.tv/hybradge. So you can watch me there if you have any questions or just want to look at my gameplay. Also, very importantly, I will be releasing a full game commentary on how to play this build soon. And I will be releasing a Belveth guide as well sometime soon. Hopefully this Friday, otherwise next Friday. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you hit the sub button. Make sure you hit the like button. I love you all. Peace. We're out of here.